A quick note before we get started. We talk about the death of a child in this episode. This is a clip from a song called Air from the album Hope for Justice. The song was released on February 15th, 2024, the 11th anniversary of the death of Ella Roberta Adoo-Kissi-Debrah, a 9-year-old girl from the UK whose life was ended early by a fatal asthma attack. Ella later became the first child and the first person in the world to have air pollution appear on a death certificate as a cause of death. This song is dedicated to her.
My name is Rosamund Adoo-Kissi-Debrah.
This is Ella Roberta's mother and dedicated advocate.
I'm the founder, director, and trustee of the Ella Roberta Foundation. It was set up after my late daughter passed away from air pollution. The idea initially was to try and find out why Ella had died. I'm also a WHO, a Breathe Life ambassador, and I see my role as a clean air advocate, raising awareness about the impact air pollution has on health.
In episode 4 of this past season of Clearing the Air, we told the story of Ella, including speaking with Dr. Stephen Holgate, who was instrumental in identifying air pollution as the cause of her death and how that came to be. This is a clip from that episode.
With such a dramatic series of expressions of her asthma, the hospital notes were very substantial. Ella was admitted to 6 different hospitals across London. All of them were linked to major teaching hospitals, and she had the highest quality of care, I think, that anyone could reasonably expect. But obviously, she was in a desperate situation. I had access to her post-mortem material. I also obviously went through all the pathological data from her bronchoscopies and other data that she had. And it was quite clear that she had very damaged airways with a lot of airway wall remodeling, that the lining cells of her airways were largely destroyed and replaced by mucus-secreting cells.
If you're interested in this part of the story, I encourage you to listen to that full episode called Road to Change. Ella's story extends beyond her short life. It's about her legacy. This is because of her mother's passion and dedication to make sure that Ella's life serves as a catalyst for change.
If Ella's story helps raise awareness about this topic, then I am incredibly happy.
I'm your host, Kristen Uhlenbrock. From our podcast, Laws of Notion, this is a bonus episode of Clearing the Air, the hazy future of our skies. Rosamund's journey has not been straightforward since that tragic day on February 15th, 2013.
I will be 100% lying to you that when I was teaching in school, I had any desire. I didn't even know about this topic. That's how far removed it was. I mean, my specialist subject is psychology.
Before any of this, Rosamund, who goes by Roz, was a teacher at a secondary school in Lewisham working with upwards of 180 students.
I think what changed for me, I think the advocacy has come out incidental. And what I mean by that is it was trying to find out why Ella died. It wasn't that I didn't want to go back to teaching. I felt completely broken, especially when you're in charge of so many kids and, kids asking you things all the time. Because I used to look after children's welfare. And I suddenly realized that, oh my God, this is quite hard. You're not going to be able to do this. I didn't have any idea per se what I wanted to do either. So I was on a journey trying to find out why Ella died. I think the transition might have really happened when we had enough evidence. We were going to go to court, and Ella's lawyer at the time said to me, informing people what happened to her is part of the battle and struggle, that I'm going to have to go out there. It's not enough just having evidence alone. It's going to take more than that.
Over the years, Roz has spent time not only fighting in the courts, but also finding her voice, trying to make sense of this world, and living with the trauma.
The anxiety of traveling, getting to airports, being in foreign countries is completely alien to me. And I kind of like to travel with someone because I find traveling can be quite lonely. All the hotels begin to look the same. All the conference rooms look similar-ish, if you see what I mean. And all the airports, apart from the different languages, they all kind of look the same. What's not easy as time has gone on will be talking about my daughter all the time. I try to limit it during the anniversaries, especially. And when I first started, I didn't realize talking about her all the time would cause me a few issues. But if you see something horrendous, traumatic has happened to you, and you continue to repeat it all the time, it's definitely not the easiest of things.
What keeps her going, what gives her stamina, is looking for the impact the loss of her daughter can have for the rest of us.
Apart from getting air pollution on her death certificate, there was not really a lot more I could do for her, let's be honest. So everything which I do now is more to do with making things better for everybody else, I guess. So it's not like, it doesn't matter how successful I am in doing that, it's not going to bring my daughter back.
When Roz reflects, it can be difficult for her to pinpoint the broader impact her organization is having.
Sometimes when people write to me, I can tell they think we're this massive organization, but in a way, I don't sometimes feel a lot has changed. I think what's changed more is the research in this area in the last 10 years. There is more known between the link of air pollution and non-communal diseases. And like most cancers are linked to air pollution and people are talking about it more. So I would say the actual research has changed more, and air pollution, clean air is now mixed in politics.
While there is growing awareness and research, the relationship between the environment and public health is still laden with challenges. For example, trying to untangle air pollution and its health impacts means looking at a multitude of factors, such as exposure rates, genetic response, and social conditions like access to food or our levels of stress. There's an emerging field of study called exposomics. For those of you interested in researching it, it's spelled EXPOSOMICS. This field of science is about how environmental exposure throughout a person's life affects their health and development. And it relies on massive data sets, which we've been collecting for decades. But what we also know is that we still lack data at the spatial and temporal scales needed for some of the critical research and decision-making, a topic we spent a lot of time discussing over the series.
If you don't have monitoring, how can you tell the population what they're breathing? And also awareness, how many people truly understand? For me, I was thinking about it this morning. I'm always frustrated in my head. I think people don't understand exposure. short-term exposure, long-term exposure. People will say, the air is cleaner than ever before. And again, my argument on that is, what measurements are people using? Because according to WHO, if 99% of populations are breathing dirty air, why would people then feel they're breathing clean air? So what messages are they getting? Is it because they can't see it? And that's why I think more scientists, reputable scientists, they need to continue to research. For example, Alzheimer's and dementia, they found particular matter on the brain. A lot of people now are concerned about this area. So those things do help, but we need strong, robust science as well.
The very fine particulate matter Roz is talking about is PM 2.5, which is associated with wildfires, agricultural production, and emissions. Emerging research on both particulate matter and nitrous oxide links higher exposure to an increased risk for dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and other cognitive impairments. And when children's brains are developing, air pollution can lead to negative impacts later in life on things such as decision-making or focus or risk for psychiatric disorder. While these cognitive diseases have multiple factors contributing to them, the research community is getting a clear idea about the role of the environment. The challenge now, as Roz sees it, isn't necessarily the science, but the implications of what it means to do something about air pollution.
I'm not going to lie to you, because I think the data which I get, governments get the same data. This is no news to them, really. So, for example, low emission zones in the UK, you have the government pushing back on it. And I don't think they're pushing back on it because they have different data to me. It's because the decisions that have to be made are very difficult. And maybe they are not vote winners. If you're, for example, asking people to change their cars, if you're asking people to maybe phase out diesel, they're not very popular things, you see. But I think there's a disconnect there. For instance, we know that a lot of cancers are linked to air pollution. So rather than focus on that, it's all about, you can't drive here, you can't drive there. I don't think people are being given the whole truth.
She also thinks the messaging around air pollution, which has been tied to environmental causes, isn't working.
For me, this is a health issue. The narrative has been, it is a green issue. And, there are only certain people who care about green issues, when in fact, air pollution, the people it impacts the most are the poor, the disaffected, do you sort of see what I mean? It is how it's been framed. People are restricting you from doing what you want to do. I try and stick to my health message. That's what people need to focus on, that the air they're breathing is doing damage to their organs.
Roz is a really good messenger, but she thinks there are some other strong voices out there that can help.
We need people in health to talk about it a lot more. Doctors, because people trust doctors. Doctors can really change the narrative, not to lecture people, but to make people more aware. And what I say to them is, you need to get across to people the damage this invisible killer is doing.
Roz wants greater accountability across the board.
I want the governments to say, we spend trillions on healthcare. So, cleaning up the air, yes, it will cost a bit, but it will be worthwhile. But I don't think I'm ever going to hear that, by the way. And it's not just from my government in my country. I think that's everywhere. I always hear people say how difficult it is. They never come up with solutions. And the other thing I also realize, that a lot is put on the individual. It's really interesting. The individual should do this, the individual should do, and not enough on governments.
Individuals are not free from fault. From the cars we drive, to the plane trips we take, to every parcel that shows up on our doorstep within a day or two. The list of life's conveniences is long.
I'm not sure how you can get people to accept that all these things add up. I just think some don't want to hear it, because we want an easy life, don't we? But I do think we are paying for it now. I do.
One of the things I found interesting about Roz's story was the policy changes being advocated for in the UK, specifically a proposal called Ella's Law.
Ella's Law came out of one of my frustrating moments, I have to admit. And I think it was in 2021, there was a new Environment Act.
The 2021 Environment Act in the UK was a large encompassing piece of legislation meant to increase environmental protections for things like biodiversity, water, and air quality.
And see, this was the naive me. I thought, oh my goodness, now Ella's death has been recognised. The government is going to do something about it. The government was going to clean up the air. Goodness me, I think it was a shock when the Environment Act came and went, and the PM 2.5, the earliest they were going to deal with it was 2040.
PM 2.5 is important because it can get deep into our lungs and even bloodstream, causing serious health effects. This was also listed in Ella's coroner's report. The Environment Act currently has the PM 2.5 limits at double what the World Health Organization says is safe. So for Roz, 2040 is not soon enough.
And I think the disappointment drove me on to collaborate with others to do Ella's Law. And again, it got through with a bit of a fight. It got through the Houses of Laws, which is the upper chambers. I don't know how you would describe it to your listeners in America, because you guys have two houses as well, don't you? So the upper house, it got through. And again, I almost convinced myself it will get through Parliament. And it had its first reading, second reading.
Ella's Law is formally known as the Clean Air Human Rights Bill. The second reading is expected to happen on June 14th. There is a long way to go, but if it were to eventually pass, then it would make the UK government bring air quality standards up to the WHO limits. But Rosamund doesn't think it will pass.
It may take more than even a change of government to get it through. It's not that I'm being pessimistic, it's just a reality. And unless people demand for things, things aren't going to change. But people will also need to understand how much air pollution is impacting them on a daily basis to demand it. In my dreamland, people will talk about air pollution the same way they spoke about COVID. On everyone's lips, we are nowhere near there. There are a lot of people who don't think about it. Maybe it's the invisibility of it. I think people smell it and think, oh, that doesn't smell great, but they just continue, don't they, on their day-to-day life.
Even when people are aware, the disconnect can be real because behavior is hard to change.
I think this topic is seen as you're stopping me from doing something fun. I've heard people talk about wood burning, how they've suddenly realized that that's not great, and they all thought it was great and cozy, and now people know different. I think it is a complex matter. It is very expensive, and governments and other authorities need to do more. People should not feel like they're being penalized, but people should feel that they're being helped to change their habits. Behavior change is going to take a long, long while. We took some extraordinary measures during COVID, staying in, wearing masks. So what that tells me is people care about their health. Yes, they do. And for me, sometimes when people are ill, it's a bit too late. And what I'm talking about is prevention rather than cure. When you lose your health, that's it.
I think COVID is a great example. When it comes to air pollution, this makes me think of the illusion of invulnerability. The idea that people think they are safe from misfortune. Or maybe it's also combined with our bias for the immediate. In other words, it's hard to make choices about a future unknown state of our health when it might mean giving up something today. Especially when we have systems that are set up to make some choices unconscious or just convenient, like driving a car, even when it's a poor air quality day. Or maybe it's like a concept from economics known as discounting. where we make costs and benefits more valuable today than in the future. An example of this is like those of us who drink alcohol might value the immediate pleasures more than the long-term health effects. All of this points to a variety of reasons why preventative health measures can be difficult to follow.
We always talk about money, but yeah, money is not everything. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything at all. And I think things like cutting taxes really appeal to people. We're going to have more money in my pocket. And health isn't because when you're young or when you're not ill, you just don't think about these things until you become ill. Then suddenly you are looking around at other things that might have made you ill. But sadly for some, then it's too late, isn't it? And if you're a minority or if you're poor, then this topic, unfortunately, I know you might say, I need to go to work, I need food to eat. But to me, if you don't have your health, then you can't go to work. So that's how I see it. So this is everybody's problem. It's not a rich person or a poor person. This is and who wants to get ill before their time? Nobody. If Ella's story helps raise awareness about this topic, then I am incredibly happy. And there are many Ellas in this world. Asthma, respiratory illnesses, it is huge. So unfortunately, hers was severe, but since she died 11 years ago, the number of children dying from this disease has not stopped. So therefore, we need to continue to raise awareness about this topic. This is very real indeed. 70,000 plus studies, can't be wrong.
In 2019, 2 review studies took a comprehensive look at air pollution and found that it could affect every organ in the body. The WHO calls air pollution the silent epidemic.
We let them off the hook. That's what we do. And we should demand more. We should demand about our health more. You always get individuals who say, I feel powerless to do anything about it. So my point is, when there are elections, you guys have got elections coming up. So have we. That is one place people can make their vote count, can't they? My name is Rosamund Adoo-Kissi-Debrah. I see my role as a clean air advocate, raising awareness about the impact air pollution has on health. And please speak to your doctor if you're concerned about this topic. Thank you.
From our podcast, Laws of Notion, this is a bonus episode of Clearing the Air, the hazy future of our skies. To learn more about this season, hear other perspectives, and get additional resources, visit clearingtheair.org. I want to thank Rosamund and her team for the work they are doing and speaking with me. I also want to thank the Trinity Laban Conservatoire of Music and Dance for allowing us the rights to use the song Air that you've been hearing from the album Hope for Justice. We have a link to the song on our website if you want to learn more about it. Laws of Notion is a production of the Institute for Science and Policy at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. I'm your host, Kristen Eulenbrock. This episode was written by me with editing and marketing by Trisha Waddell, production support from Nicole Delaney, fact-checking by Kate Long, and sound design by Seth Samuel. This episode was recorded at Denver Community Media. If you enjoyed listening, please consider supporting the Institute and rating and sharing this podcast with others. Learn more about us at institute.dmns.org. Until next time.